After the launch of Dawn of Ragnarok, Valhalla is in a better spot than it has ever been game-wise. Like, the combat has way more depth thanks to the new gear items, weapons and mods that can finally be combined in interesting ways. Not to mention the new awesome Odin powers that bring huge benefits and are kind of required in certain encounters when playing on higher difficulties, or of course to solve the brand new puzzles that finally bring fresh ideas to the table. Instead of summoning your mount and letting it automatically go to your quest objective, thanks to the new powers, exploring Sword of Heim and doing certain activities was way more fun. It's still a hard sell for $40. Again, I really enjoyed what I played, but it's not enough for 2/3 of the price of the base game. And that's the main problem. While the Valhalla experience again is better than it has ever been, it seems that many people did not bother with Dawn of Ragnarok because of the steep price, and for $20 extra you get a brand new open world RPG with Elden Ring, Horizon Forbidden West or Dying Light 2 that all give you something completely new and way more hours of enjoyment. So with the low interest in Dawn of Ragnarok and the fact that we could see a new Assassin's Creed game sooner than first expected, I'm curious what this means for the future of Valhalla and the Assassin's Creed brand as a whole. So let's discuss that in this video, because we also got some new rumors and news. I want to share, of course, my own theories as well. So a like on the video would, of course, really support the channel, and a subscribe for everything Assassin's Creed if you haven't already. Let's go. Dawn of Ragnarok will kickstart year 2 of the post-launch of Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Besides this expansion, we've prepared even more surprises for the fans of the game. This is what Ubisoft said in an interview with me around the reveal of the third DLC. But it's surprisingly quiet on that front. Almost 2 weeks after the Dawn of Ragnarok launch, there's still no roadmap or even a word about what we can expect in year 2. Now sure, this can change at any time. They could post a tweet the day after this video goes live with future plans, because we should still get a second season of Mastery Challenges. The Tombs of the Fallen could totally continue as it now ended abruptly. And as you might know, we still have the Odin runes in England we can't access yet. There were leaks for river raids in mythical realms, a new story quest with Rollo similar to the Cassandra arc, and the Reloads also leaked the Ezio Revelation armor a while back. Just like the Unibear mount, we know that Kira her daggers should be planned as a new weapon type, New Game Plus should be coming, etc, etc. I think it's weird that they have a ton of stuff in the pipeline. They should also be looking into combat with a hood, which we can now only do with mods on PC, but they did not use any of it to promote the future of the game before Dawn of Ragnarok came out. Like, I totally think that a big trailer teasing a lot of the year 2 content, similar to the post-launch trailers Ubisoft does for all their big games before release, could have helped create hype for Valhalla and also the release of Dawn of Ragnarok. It was an approach that really worked for the Division 2's Warlords of New York expansion. Like, people were not only hyped for new content on day 1, but also for the potential of the future. So, did things change with Valhalla, and that's why they're not talking about year 2 yet? Like, I totally expect them to still drop multiple updates for the game, and Dawn of Ragnarok even seems to hint at another mythical DLC, which must then also be in development for a while, right? If it's really happening. But we also learned that another Valhalla DLC is no more, thanks to a report from Bloomberg last month. The game, codenamed Rift, was originally planned as an expansion for 2020's Assassin's Creed Valhalla, but morphed into a full game late last year. And this according to Jason Schreier. I already made a video about this when the article dropped. I will leave a link to it at the end of this one for if you need to refresh your memory or haven't watched it yet. But in short, this game should star Basim and should be focused on stealth gameplay with a launch later this year or in early 2023. And this according to Eurogamer. Ubisoft usually wants to stop the support for the previous game months, sometimes half a year before the announcement or release of the next title in the same franchise. If Rift is really happening, which again seems likely looking at Jace and his track record, and also, this is pretty interesting, the actor behind Basim was namely spotted in a mocap suit very recently, and this doesn't happen, or at least he doesn't post about that very often. Also, maybe I already saw it, but someone asked more Basim, and he just says maybe. He doesn't say no. So that's also interesting. And doing mocap right now and then launching the game at the end of the year or in early 2023 totally lines up. and then maybe Ubisoft is looking to end the support for Valhalla sooner than first planned. To give you an idea, the Origin support ended in March 2018, with then the reveal of Odyssey in the following June. The Odyssey support ended 1 year after launch in October 2019, with then the Valhalla cinematic trailer dropping in April 2020. Almost half a year later. Also, Ubisoft shared one of their big learnings following the poor launch of Breakpoint and The Division 2, namely that there needs to be more time in between the releases of live games. And Assassin's Creed, with the roadmaps and the updates, falls of course more and more into that category. If you have been playing an Assassin's Creed game for another full year, you might be burned out when the new thing drops that Ubisoft actually wants you to buy. And really curious, now that Rift is no longer a part of the Valhalla Year 2 post-launch, maybe that nuked a few months of the support, so there's still a time between the end of the Valhalla post-launch and the release of this new game. We at least know for a fact that the interest in Valhalla is lower than it has been in a long time. I notice it on social media, nobody is talking about the game anymore or is reaching out about Valhalla stuff to me as often. And also you see it on YouTube with views for Valhalla content being way lower than for the Year 1 expansions, while Dawn of Ragnarok had way more marketing. Now again, I can't blame anyone for skipping Dawn of Ragnarok. I really think that Ubisoft dig their own grave with this one. You could even point all the way back to the launch of the game. It simply wasn't ready looking at the bugs and the half-baked systems, so instead of focusing on brand new features and content, the devs had to spend the first year trying to fix everything, which meant that the post-launch started way too late and never reached the highs of Odyssey. It also would have been better if at least one of the Year 1 DLCs was made by people in the core Valhalla team. Then instead of a throwaway side story, we would at least have meaningful evolutions for Eivor, just like we saw for Bayek and Amunet in the Hidden Ones DLC, and for Cassandra in the Fate of Atlantis. Both expansions were made by the core studio, and especially Fate of Atlantis also introduced interesting new systems, which were really lacking in the Year 1 expansions. So yeah, instead of being hyped for more Valhalla content, I think a lot of people were burned out, and then they saw the $40 price tag and were like, okay, I'm out. There's a good reason why the Call of Duty map pack model died a while back in AAA gaming, but Ubisoft chose to apply it here, creating a huge split in the player base, because why invest more time into this game when you know you're probably never going to play the big expansion that adds some significant ways to enhance your character thanks to a new rarity. There's also an extra daily opal source. Like, you will always feel as if you're missing out if you don't own Dawn of Ragnarok, so why even bother? And for people who did buy the DLC, the split is a problem too, because high chance that we cannot use our Odin powers in any of the free Year 2 content, while that was the main attraction of Dawn of Ragnarok. It really feels like a huge downgrade going back to older regions in the game after having just explored Svartalfheim for 15 hours, and that's why instead of the map packs, big AAA games now offer most of their post-launch content for free. Because then of course every player can play it and maybe stick around, and then the developers can use all the new tools they created for future content because everyone is able to use them. Unless something changes, it seems that Ubisoft will be stuck making Valhalla 1.0 content for Year 2 while we got a taste of what a 1.5 experience feels like. It's why the Cassandra crossover content was such a big success, because everyone could experience the new island in both games for free. Now sure, giving away Dawn of Ragnarok for free would have been wild. Maybe it would have been a smart idea to only give people access to the realm and the new powers, but then if they wanted to play the story they had to pay. Something like that. I at least think though that then in the long term maybe more people would be willing to stick around for all the Year 2 content, and then maybe in the end spend more money on microtransactions. Now they are completely gone. So I can still see Ubisoft do a 180. On April 9th, the Twilight Pack pre-order bonus for buying Dawn of Ragnarok is gone, so maybe then they will drop the price, as I can't imagine the sales for this being that high. Maybe they drop it to $30 or $20 $40 permanently, I think would be a good spot. And then hopefully give people who did support the DLC day one for $40 like a good amount of Helix credits or something else as a thanks. We're only in March now, and if they have plans to support the game for a full year, then losing a large portion of your player base in March is not a good look. I'm really curious what happens from here. I hope I'm wrong and that they're instead quietly preparing a big comeback in terms of free content and events with hopefully a better cadence than the 6 weeks between each content drop. You could also look at it this way: Ubisoft doesn't really have a lot going for them in terms of popular games right now. Rainbow Six is of course the big one, even though it's not as big as it used to be. And below that, on number 2, it was always Assassin's Creed, so in this case Valhalla. So it's hard to imagine that they will drop the support sooner, especially because their next big titles are dropping at the end of the year. I still think that Rift will have an impact, but we will only find that out later on. And they still just have a lot of work to do to get people back into the game, if that is the plan. Because they clearly made the wrong call with the price for Dawn of Ragnarok. Even though I still think that everyone who liked Valhalla will enjoy that content. But yeah, I still cannot recommend it for $40. I'm curious to hear your take, of course, in the comments down below. I will follow it here as well and keep you up to date, so subscribe if you haven't already. A like on the video would really help me out, and check out that Basim video for if you haven't already by clicking on the screen. For now though, I will speak to you soon. Goodbye.